Final hour overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Big hour in store. Our friend Kenzie Lalonde later in the hour. Kenzie will join us in about a half an hour. We've got our best bets coming up. Al's brother's got another clue that hopefully will work today. Al's brother was malfunctioning yesterday.
Was he?
Yeah, oh. we had an Al's brother malfunction.
What?
We had to call him out. We had to call him up. We had to call Al's brother up.
He did the clue like live over the phone
wherever he happens to be in the city. So, we'll see what comes of it today. But exciting
I don't get it. Can you explain what he did yesterday? It was just a bad clue.
It was there was an audio issue, I guess is the way to put it, and it was inaudible, so we had to call up Al's brother directly as opposed to his little pre-produced clue there. So we got to the bottom of it. It was all good. Al's brother was on his game and ready to go, and it was good to hear from Al's brother. And the Leafs are in action tonight. I'm sure Al's brother's excited about this. We have some lineup news. Alex Steeves, who was just called up, he's in tonight, and Yanni Hakanpää is also in. Hakanpää will make his debut as a Leaf tonight.
So Timmins is out.
Benoit is coming out.
Benoit,
which is he has had some issues. Like he's battled, on a couple of different occasions. But that's a lot of right shots in the lineup. Timmins, Hakanpää, Tanev, they're all right shot. I guess you still have Riley and Ekman-Larsson and McCabe, so maybe they balance out the deep pairings a little bit. And Nick Robertson's coming out. Robertson is coming out tonight. And that is not a good sign for him. When they can't score goals right now, and the guy who is on the team because he can score, and that's really what he has to bring to the table, this is not good for Nick Robertson.
But he's not scoring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Pacioretty's not even playing. Like, Pacioretty's hurt, so he's out. Matthews is hurt. Berube also said Matthews did not skate today. I don't think he's playing Saturday.
This has gone backwards. I don't know what's going on.
Something's going on with this guy, and they're not going to be transparent about it, but he has not skated since Sunday. That's not a good sign. I don't know what's going on, and they wouldn't say it was a setback, or they wouldn't classify it that way.
Yeah, you would think if he's playing Saturday, Hayes, he would probably, like tomorrow's cutoff day, like he would skate at some capacity tomorrow, Friday play.
Right.
Which he might.
He still could.
Right?
Obviously, I don't know. I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to think this guy could be out longer than they initially planned. Or maybe they've known all this time and they've just been doing the Leaf thing and not being 100% transparent. But Matthews, again, did not skate today and has not skated since Sunday. Maybe Dregs will have, I'm sure he will, have somewhat of an update on that. So we'll catch up with Darren Dreger in just a moment. But over the past couple of weeks, we've been asking people to submit their overdrive-inspired songs for the chance to win a getaway from Tay-Tay this weekend. Submissions were incredible. Like, incredible. A lot of them were so creative, so well done, a lot of time put into it. We've seen them all. We've been watching them all. I want to scatter some in, like, over the course of time here because there's a lot of them that were really, really good. But we do have a number one. We do have a favorite here.
Nice.
We do have a winner for the getaway from Tay-Tay. The song is called My Favorite Part of My Drive by Paolo Sutil. You guys ready for this?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Little Green Day. Love it.
Yeah.
Another drive home, another overdrive show. It's 4 p.m. with Hayes, Noodles, and O. Al's brother will make an appearance and we'll all ask why. Luke Wilson gets heated over a backdoor cover in overtime. Overdrive is unpredictable and in the end it's fine. 'Cause I always have the time of my life.
Yes. Love this.
Oh my God, is
that's
that me?
unnecessary. Owen Al's brother.
From Modog's Burp with Peter King to Jerry Crumpy Eye to Noodles saying, give me your hands, and we all ask why. If Hayes would have shot 200 at the National, that would be fine. Or stories of Tucker and O doing pack-win loop-de-loops at the line. Overdrive is unpredictable, and in the end it's fine. It's always my favorite part of my drive. There's always something unpredictable once the clock hits 4. From Lindy Ruff's cough to the I did Jeff mic drop. Joe Buck pleading with people to stop. Or a classic scenario of a fan heckling Hayes is a fraud. There's always something unpredictable once the boys turn on their mics. Whether I'm streaming, watching TV, or listening live, I always have the time of my life.
Yes.
That's during COVID, right?
That the videos were sealed. I got the beard going. I don't think we knew.
Overdrive is unpredictable, and in the end it's fine, 'cause I always have the time of my life.
Yes,
Nice.
I love it.
Excellent.
That's a winner right there.
That's a winner, man. That's creative. That's got a lot of different inside, baseball
references.
clips and references from the show. We're going back like a decade. Lindy Ruff, I think we were on Leafs lunch when that went down.
The cough, yeah.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So congrats to Paolo. I mean, you're not going to get any better than that. A lot of people tried. A lot of people had a lot of great submissions. But, Paolo, you've won tickets to see Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday. Get a hotel stay, $500 spending cash. It does not get any better than that. And we had hundreds of people send stuff in.
That's
lyrics
awesome.
and videos and audio, and that was top-notch. So shout out. We appreciate
Congrats,
everyone
bud.
doing that.
That's
Great. And what a
saw
game,
a
man.
few things,
What a
too.
game. Yeah,
I
there
saw
was
a few things in that video. Like that race, like, that's you're half a person. Like, I'm not lying. Like, you're half a person compared to that
It's
guy in
staggering
the
the before and after. Like you guys on the panel were showing you in Ottawa last year with the Method shirt.
Oh, my God, dude.
You were massive in that building, man.
Dude.
You were huge in that Method jersey last year.
And you know what's scary? I thought, I was a month into training when that game was in Ottawa. I thought I was looking good. I almost passed out when I saw myself. I was like, I looked like I had makeup done for a movie, like as a fat ass. Like,
right.
It's like
you
going
looked like
to
the
make,
Penguin.
Yeah,
you were the penguin in Ottawa.
6 hours of makeup work to get on the desk.
Well, it's the before and the after looks better than ever. You got to keep it rolling. And here's a guy that was on the panel for both of those, last night and last year. Here's Darren Dreger, our TSN Hockey Insider. What's happening, Dregs?
Well, yeah, I'm reflecting on what I saw last night as well. And, if O wasn't part of it, I would call it reverse body shaming.
Yes.
Because that's kind of what
That's
it is.
what it is, man.
But the poor man, we're sitting shoulder to shoulder, and they actually gave us a tease before we went to air, and the look at O's face and his reaction was, oh, my God. Like, come on.
I was shocked, Dregs. Like,
You were
saw the
shocked.
size of my head and my neck, and I was like, and I could tell I was trying to bring off a vibe, and I'm like, look at the size of your fat head.
Yeah. That's
It was
amazing.
insane.
I'll tell you were swimming in that Method jersey yesterday, front and back. You had it covered. It was all
Yes.
Now you're good, man. But listen, I can speak from my own
Dial.
experience. You're right, O. When
Me
you get
too.
You guys, you know what? You get a month in, you think you are DiCaprio in his prime.
Yeah, you think you're ready for a tarp-off photo shoot, and
and you're still a disaster.
dude, you're still a monster. You're not anywhere close.
Yeah, it's a grind, man. It's a grind.
Wow.
So Berube just told the media Matthews didn't skate again today, Dregs. This has got to be concerning. Like, I'm sorry, he hasn't skated since Sunday. They can claim it's not a setback. I don't see how you can claim anything but it being a setback, him not being on the ice.
Well, fair, Brian, unless they didn't acknowledge or they didn't know what the extent of the aggravation was going back a week plus now, right? And I think that could be. And what does it matter whether it's a setback or they didn't know how bad he was feeling at the time? But, again, let's go back to last Tuesday, so a week plus now. And we're talking about, all right, well, he's going to miss that game, but, that's just to let things settle down. He's not feeling great, and no specifics on the injury, all that. I think we all know what the general area of concern is, but they were hoping that he'd be okay for the Saturday game against the Montreal Canadiens, and didn't skate that week, or at least didn't practice. And okay, he's not ready now for the weekend. Then they put him on injury reserve, and that raises some eyebrows. But again, we come back and we say, okay, well, no, they're not overly concerned. It's just taking more time to settle down. And I guess that's still where we're at today. So, I mean, the target that I was given yesterday going into last night's game was that it was Saturday. And that obviously seems to be the case. But until Auston gets back on the ice and is practicing with the main group, I don't know that there is a lock solid or a specific target date in mind here.
Right. Yeah, and that's and it's not, the Leafs have not publicly announced this is when he's going to return. It's just, he kind of snuck on the IR. It's retroactive to Sunday. He's feeling better. And now all of a sudden we're, 4 days without even being on the ice. And we knew he wasn't going to play tonight, but like Saturday's a big one. You got McDavid and the Oilers in town.
So the other thing too here, guys, is, again, they were careful in how they dispensed the information. So initially, again, I reported it. I'm not pushing myself away from the story. I remember saying this was a recent situation. Well, it's recent, but it's an aggravation to an injury or an issue that he dealt with in training camp, which, Craig Berube has acknowledged this week. So, yeah, it's lingering. I mean, you've got something that is bugging you in training camp and you play through it, good on you. And then it settles down, and then you aggravate it, and then it settles down. Well, that would be my concern, I guess, moving forward. If, whatever it is that is bothering him needs, multiple days to settle down, okay, well, that's all well and good. Are you hoping and praying that it doesn't happen during the playoffs? Like, those are the things that you kind of start to think about when you go through day to day to now several days and drifting forward.
Dregs, more a bigger picture. Obviously there's changes within teams and guys coming up and down, but are you getting a lot of trade chatter, or at least maybe some conversations behind the scenes here as we creep towards kind of that, U.S. Thanksgiving? I see Lars Eller. I don't know what Kyle Dubas is going to do, but I do see some potential for things to happen before that.
Yeah, no, for sure the chatter has picked up. Absolutely. And a lot of that is just time of year and managers doing what they do. Dubas has come under fire, and the game against the Dallas Stars was unacceptable, right? Like, that was an embarrassment by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Historic embarrassment. They gave up 6 in the first period. But there was a report that came out that said, okay, Dubas is shopping everyone other than Sidney Crosby. So everybody's on the table. And
who came out with that report, by the way, Dregs?
I'm not even sure.
Someone in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I saw it it was forwarded to me off X or Instagram or whatever. And look, if I knew, I would credit the author. I'm not trying to bury the guy or whoever reported it. It just, when you get something like that, it's fairly significant. So we check on all that. And I like my sources in Pittsburgh, and the messaging I got back was, no, that's not accurate. Of course, Kyle, leading up to the Eller trade, was kicking tires, no different than Ken Hughes, no different than Barry Trotz, and any other team that is not doing as well as they expected they were going to do. And that's sometimes just middle of the road, staying competitive, right? So, I was a bit surprised at the Eller trade, but then, there's some family stuff that goes around Lars Eller that connects him back to Washington as well. So that could be part of it. But, I mean, maybe it explains, doesn't it, a little bit? We were all, didn't our eyebrows lift when we heard that Dubas got the 7-year contract with the Penguins? We're like, all right, well, when's the last time an executive, a general manager, whatever, got a 7-year contract? And maybe in part this is starting to explain that. I mean, you can't rebuild when you have Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and go down the list from there. But a rebuild is still inevitable in Pittsburgh. It's inevitable.
Well, it doesn't mean you have the right to say that you're going to lie to people and say you're going to be good, because that's just nonsense as well, Dregs.
Well, it looks that way, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, based on what they did on Monday, come on. Like, there's no defending that. So it'll be curious to see how this all plays out. Again, look, if Crosby had gone to Dubas when they were going through their negotiation and said, I feel like I've got one more Stanley Cup push, and honestly, I don't see it here, and I'm open to the idea. Let's see it play out. My understanding is that's not how it went down. Pittsburgh wanted to sign him for longer and may have been willing to give him more money. So let's see. I mean, if they don't turn things around, and I don't think they're going to be a playoff-worthy team, but, if they can stay competitive enough to keep Crosby interested, I get that. But what if they don't? And it's a terrible, horrible year. Sid doesn't want to finish out his career that way, does he? Like, I mean, as iconic a figure as he is in Pittsburgh, there's got to be some second guessing, I would think, at some point, if it doesn't change.
Darren, when does Craig Berube look at the bottom 12 players on his roster and say this is more than a blip and something needs to give here? I know Robertson's coming out, but they're literally getting nothing from those guys.
Yeah, and I'm a bit surprised by that, because it felt like, in the early games of the regular season that, there was going to be some push there, right? I'm okay with Robertson coming out of the lineup. With all due respect, he had a great camp. He had a great preseason. And even though, he works hard, he hasn't produced, right? And a kid like that is going to have to find a way to put the puck in the net or generate offense, or he's not going to be a part of the top nine. And if he's not, then is he okay on the fourth line? No, I don't think he is. So, yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an experiment now, maybe throughout the lineup, but we're also knee-jerk. We did that game last night. Noodles did that game last night. I mean, that was Ottawa playing real good hockey from top to bottom, and Toronto being flat as you-know-what on a plate. Like, Toronto couldn't have come out less prepared for that, and that's an indictment on the Leafs. So is it your top-end guys, which we saw Berube go after, including Willie Nylander and others in that second period, or is it the bottom-end guys? I mean, Treliving, he brought in some interesting pieces to, give them a little bit more competitive edge in that bottom six for sure, and ultimately on defense as well. I mean, but nobody seems to want to grab it. No one wants to seize an opportunity. Steven Lorentz, we thought, was going to be a lock based on, the first 8, 9, 10 games, and he's gone quiet as well. So I think there's a lot of questions around Toronto.
With Darren Dreger, our TSN hockey insider. So Keith Pelley was doing an interview. Keith Pelley, the president and CEO of MLSE, down at the Primetime Sports Convention, and I think Caroline Cameron was speaking with him. And he was speaking about how, I guess, the chemistry wasn't there in the past when he arrived between Shanahan, Treliving, and Keith. So Keith goes and Berube comes in, and he was really praising the consistency and the chemistry and the culture of the Shanahan, Berube, Treliving three-pack. What do you make of that comment, and what do you make of where Keith could take this team in the future, considering he's now been on the job for, I guess, 6 to 8 months now?
Yeah, well, I mean, Pelley is a bulldog, right? Like, you look at his resume, and for the most part, the things that he goes into ends up to be a success, and then he moves on to his next challenge. And he's got a formidable challenge here across the board. I'm not talking just about the Toronto Maple Leafs. But I guess the one thing that I would say is when you look at the management structure now, Shanahan, Treliving, Craig Berube, they're light thinkers, right? Like, I mean, Shanny played the game as hard-nosed as anybody, right? And I think when he first came in, for a lot of the years that he was on board as the boss, initially, we all kind of thought, well, where are the players that like Shanny would have played like? Like they weren't there. Like
right.
It didn't seem to link. And then you bring in Brad Treliving. Well, Brad Treliving and Brendan Shanahan, they're not buddies, but they think the game the same way for the most part. And now you bring in Craig Berube. And, I mean, we're seeing firsthand, like, you know, Craig Berube is frontline center. He doesn't care how many times he gets caught on camera beefing with one of his players. He's just an honest, hard-nosed dude. That's what he is. And, you know, when you cut it to the core, that's what Brad Treliving is. When you cut it to the core, that's what Shanny is, for the most part. So maybe that's what Keith Pelley was referring to. But none of that matters, fellas. You know this, unless they deliver results. And we're not going to know that until they get through the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Well, that's it. And, I mean, Shanahan he's on his final year of his deal.
Yeah.
You know, unless they have something tabled or something in a desk drawer somewhere, which wouldn't be shocking. I think that's what happened the last time his deal was up. But, culture and chemistry. And, again, Keith has not been here long, but I don't know. I just find it interesting him going on the record saying that. Again, this was at a conference. It wasn't on, you know.
Right.
It wasn't during a Leaf broadcast or something like that. But that would suggest he's buying into what's being sold. And I understand that from a regular season standpoint. But to your point, you know, they won one round in 10 years. So
he's on it, though, Brian. Like, you know this, right?
Yeah.
Like, Keith Pelley is on it. Like, he's paying attention to everything, and there'll be no surprises. These guys across the board, not just the Leafs, but, you know, the entire umbrella here, they know what's at stake and what's expected.
Yeah.
Greggs, what do you make of the Winnipeg Jets continue to just win games regardless of the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive, right? I mean, obviously, historic, 15-1. You know, and the fact that they've managed some really good teams in this process, Colorado, Dallas, you know, last night the New York Rangers, I mean, come on, like all the very, very good teams. And they've got tough tasks ahead with Tampa. And then I think they've got Florida in Florida and then Florida back in Winnipeg next Tuesday. You know, they're not going to run the table. We had Scotty O'Neill on the podcast, which drops tomorrow. We recorded his interview today. And, you know, he just likes everything about the team and what's not to like from the crease out. I mean, everybody is contributing, but it's more about the messaging that, you know, you're getting from the leaders like Kyle Connor and others, you know, talking about how just let's never get comfortable. Like, tougher times are coming. So just keep that in mind. And it seems like line to line, their defense, everybody is buying in. But I guess top of the list would be that they're healthy, and I don't think that you can sustain that wire to wire either. So they know their adversity is around the corner, but right now they're a tremendous story.
Yeah, they're on fire. All right, Dregs, we'll leave it there. We'll do it again soon.
Okay, guys, have a good one.
Darren Dreger, a TSN Hockey Insider. All right, Al's brother, again yesterday. Al's brother, he's somewhere in the city. We've sent him somewhere in the city of Toronto with a pair of Leaf tickets, and you have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. He gets ready for the third clue of the week.
Go nuts.
It's Wednesday, so hopefully this next clue will get you over the hump so you can find out where I'm hiding. We're giving away tickets to Leafs and Golden Knights on November 20th. Unfortunately, this place does not have a hot tub, but if you're in the mood for a summer swim, a good game of pickleball, or possibly a hike, this is the place to be.
Okay, Al's brother. Yes, all right, Al's brother. I think we know where you are now, but all right, Al's brother. Look
Where
at that,
is he?
very sultry. What's that? Ashbridges Bay would be my guess, or something like that. Like he's somewhere down on the waterfront. I don't think, like we mentioned, Trinity Bellwoods. That doesn't hit the water. I think Hyde Park might get all the way down there. He could
Christie
be at Hyde
Pitts?
Park.
No, Christie Pitts isn't on the
Christie
water.
Pitts is it's concrete everywhere.
Pickleball. He sounds like he's at a country
Resort.
club or something.
Yeah, is that like a Sandals resort or something? All right, well, there you go. You got to find out where Al's brother is, and tune in tomorrow for the final clue of the weekend. And the first caller through on Friday with the correct location wins tickets to see Leafs Golden Knights, November 20th. Find Al's brother, brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. Full details at tsn1050.ca. All right, it was a double shot on TSN last night. On TSN 4, it was Gordon MJ. On TSN 5, it was Kenzie Lalonde and our main man, Jamie Noodles McLennan. Kenzie and Noodles with the call, and it was, I'm sure, a great call considering they were doing it to benefit the Sens fans.
Yeah, we were the Ottawa
Ottawa
broadcast, so obviously it was a favorable call.
As it should be. And they played incredibly well. I mean, why would it not be? That would have been a fun game to call, I would think, if you're doing it from the lens of the Ottawa Senators. I mean, they had a great game last night. And Kenzie made history on TSN last night. So Kenzie will join us. We'll get her take on the game last night. What's it like dealing with Noodles on a game day? Can only imagine. And our best bets brought to you by FanDuel, still to come later in the hour as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Leafs Capitals tonight down in Washington. Yanni Hakanpää will make his debut tonight. And Alex Steeves is going into the lineup. And Simone Benoit coming out and Nick Robertson coming out. And that's got to be very concerning for Nick Robertson.
That might be, I don't know. How many times can a guy get – isn't that kind of game over where it's like the guy's got to go play somewhere else?
He's got 1 goal, 1 point. He's not alone. You know, he may look around and say, well, what's David Kampf doing or Pontus Holmberg?
I know, but he doesn't have the right. He doesn't have the right to do that. Like he just doesn't. It's like it's maybe time to go play somewhere else, and I'm sure he's probably thinking that too. Where that is, I have no idea. Because how could another team look at him and say, got to take a chance on that guy? He's got 1 goal.
Yeah. Well, that's
but
the
opportunity
issue
though. That's the thing, guys. Like say Nick Robertson, like he might be a top 6 on another team. Right, like you might give him an opportunity to play with somebody. That's what he might be thinking.
Well, Noodles, there's 2 sides of it. You can obviously put him on the top line and say, "There's your opportunity." The other way is you work your way up there. You're so good on the 3rd line, all of a sudden you end up on Nylander's line, and then all of a sudden you're so good on that line, it's like we got to put you with Auston Matthews. Hasn't happened. Like
I agree.
Yeah,
seems like a sweetheart of a kid. Like I like his work ethic. He works, but it's not working at this level. I don't know how else to analyze it.
I mean, the reality is the next team could be in the American Hockey League. Like that might be the next stop. Like,
well, I just think that
not out of the question, Brian.
It's not. He's got 1 point. He's got
but he would need waivers, right?
Yes.
Like,
well, that's
dude, just for some context, guys. Like if I was a highly touted prospect. If I had 1 point, I'm out of the league.
Yeah, you're probably in trouble. Anyway, more on that with our best bets later in the hour. Last night was a big night on TSN because the Leaf region, the Sens region, both had the game last night. That one panel, you had obviously Mathod in town, always there. And on TSN 5, you had Kenzie Lalonde making the call. And there's Noodles. Noodles, you wore your – I love the gray on gray. You look phenomenal last night.
Oh, yeah?
You look great.
Wore my
thought
ace suit, I guess.
I thought that was the ace suit last night. And you and Kenzie had to be on your toes because I don't know how you guys feel about calling games where there's a goal on the first shift like that. Like you got to be ready for it. And I thought the call was outstanding. And here's our good friend Kenzie Lalonde who made the call last night for the Sens and the Sens region, and she joins us here on Overdrive. How's it going, Kenzie?
Aw, thanks, guys.
Little tire pump for you out of the gate? Little tire pumping?
Not bad. Not a bad Wednesday night for me. To answer your question, I kind of liked it. It got me right into it. 40 seconds, little Josh Norris in the slot shot goal. I think that kind of settled me in. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah, because obviously you can't prepare. You know, we've talked to a tons of like play-by-play people in the past about preparing for big goals, big moments. How do you handle that? Like, you never know what's coming. You never know who's going to score, when they're going to score, what kind of big plays are going to happen. Like, did you manage to avoid over-preparing for the game last night?
You know what? I think preparation has always been a part of my identity going into any game I've ever done, whether it's football, hockey, anything. So I think I tend to over-prepare, and it's all about stripping it back for me come game day. one of my favorite nuggets that I actually didn't get in. I heard you there, O-Dog, talking a little bit about points in your good old days. Well, on that very day, November 12th in 2000, the Sens lost 4-0 to a Carolina Hurricanes, and Mr. O-Dog picked up one of his big points that night in his most successful season he had there. So he came away with a nice assist in his very successful, I think, would you put up 41 goals that season there, O-Dog? So that was a little nugget that would have been nice to weave into that broadcast, but it was so fun, and Noodles came dressed, ready to go. So he was looking great.
How come no nuggets on me? Like, there was pretty thin.
Hey, Noodles, you still need to tell me the story about how you, unfortunately, a tragic attempt at a goal turned into a few stitches for a defender. So we'll save that for another day.
Yeah, we'll save it for on air. You know what? It was a lot of fun last night, Kenzie, but from all the things that you've done, you just mentioned, what was the biggest adjustment for you to call your first NHL game? Was it pacing? Was it the speed of the game? It just, nerves? What did you make of it? What was your biggest adjustment?
Yeah, you know what? I would say speed. I think having called a few Montreal Canadiens games on the radio last year got me a little familiar with how fast it can be. Mind you, those were like off a monitor at the TSN 690 studio, so you're not there in person catching it live. You're watching off a monitor. It's a little different. But I think it's nice. I think, on a daily basis, when I look at the games I call, a lot of it's women's hockey. So I'm saying Maurice and Natalie Spooner on a nightly basis. And now I'm just saying Brady Tkachuk and Josh Norris. So really all that changes is the names and the pace a little bit. But in terms of flow and our show, it's kind of rinse and repeat. And so it's been fun. I think, Noodles may need to work on the dance moves. Pounders got you beat there, but it was a fun game one. We got a lot more in store.
Kenzie, did anybody say anything that kind of got your attention, maybe calm your nerves? I'll never forget, I think it was a gold medal World Junior game. It was probably my first World Junior, and Bob McKenzie looked at me 2 minutes before we went on the air, and he said, just don't forget, you'll never have a time in your life when more people are watching than right now. And I was like, why would you say that? And he said, don't screw it up. And I was like, why would you say that? But that was his way of, I think, trying to calm me down. I don't know how effective it was, but did anybody kind of just say one thing where you're like, okay, that kind of makes me feel pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cassie Campbell-Pascal reached out to me earlier in the day, and she often says this statement of believe you belong. And I've heard Cheryl Pounder say it over the years as well. It's something Cassie said to her back in their playing days. And so she messaged me that, and it was a quick little phrase, but it stuck with me throughout the day is believe you belong. And I think that's a statement that's bold and holds true. And, it's funny. I think that was certainly my most significant game I've called in a while. I look at the Walter Cup final as well in the PWHL and the immense responsibility that came with that, in the sense of, that was such a unifying game. We were celebrating how far pro women's hockey has come. So that was a game where, tears were shed, and it was like a big emotional one. And then I kind of go back to the first Quebec Major Junior Hockey League game I've ever called. And my color commentator at the time, Logan Delaney, he just looked at me before we went on air, and he's like, look it, kid, as long as you don't swear, it really doesn't matter. So a little tidbit like that made me laugh, and we got into the game really easily. So sometimes it can be a little joke or a bold statement like believe you belong. I think, whenever you get into the booth before doing something live in front of a lot of people and your reputation on the line, it can be nerve-wracking, but I really do enjoy the role of play-by-play, and couldn't have asked for a better game. It was an entertaining one, at least for Ottawa Senators.
Absolutely. Well, that's it. I mean, it was a great game for Ottawa. We're chatting with Kenzie Lalonde. She called the game last night with Noodles, TSN 5. And I know you cover the Habs obviously closely, but you've got a soft spot, for the Sens, considering where you grew up and how closely you followed them your whole life. Noodles said earlier he thinks that was the best game Ottawa's played. I think you said years, Noodles.
Yeah, a couple of years for
start
sure.
To finish.
Complete 60 minutes, 100%.
Right, in terms of them just never letting up. You obviously were in the building last night, Kenzie. What did you see out of Ottawa?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was a full, complete effort. I think when I think of their ability to just keep Toronto at bay and to the perimeter, Noodles kind of touched on it early on when Toronto got an early power play opportunity. They just could not get in the zone. Like, Ottawa was just standing them up right at the blue line, and they could never get in. So that was an example of a situation where I felt, okay, yeah, the Sens are really controlling this game. And they were just able to finish it. They're up a bit, and you go into the third period and you think, oh no, what's going to be on the other side of this? Is it just one goal the Leafs need, and we might be tied towards the end of this period, or can they hold on and stay their ground? So I think their third period performance is one of the most character-driven 20 minutes I think they've put together to show that they are making steps and advancing their play and can maybe be in a playoff contention spot this season. So I look at a game like that, and I think of early on in their season, Tampa. I think that win was significant for them as well. So I think they're having these milestone games here early on, which is important, and I'm sure they'll just hope to keep building from this.
So any surreal moments for you? I mean, was it FaceTiming your mom before, the two of us, or was it...
say that.
Or was it the 10 seconds of dead air that you and I had on SC? I mean, this is the beautiful part. We laugh about it all the time, and I said I'm going to bring it up on OverDrive tomorrow. So you and I just like, okay, big gulps here. How we doing? I mean, this is the beauty of live TV, and I thought you handled it brilliantly.
Is that
what
before
happened?
The hit or after the hit?
It was so good. It was so good. We did a Sports Center hit, and the lovely Sarah Davis was teeing us up for a little segment, and I assumed we'd do some little back and forth banter, but it didn't pan out. So Noodles and I just deadpanned into the camera for probably 15 seconds. So I miscued on that one. So maybe that, we got I at least got the nerve shaken out of me by doing that hit, and maybe that's what allowed me to streamline into the game so easily. But that was funny. And yeah, look, the Lalonde family is big fans of OverDrive, in particular my mother, Sandy. She is a big Noodles fan, so we actually FaceTimed her before the game, and I think that made her day. So I've been joking that I'm off the hook here for a Christmas gift, thanks to Jamie McLennan. So
yes,
they record your show,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sure they're listening. They record your show every night, and it's getting to the point now where I try and record Saturday Night Live, but it's getting kicked out because there's not enough storage.
That is the obnoxious thing about our show.
I got a bone to pick with you guys because I keep missing my Saturday Night Live.
I don't blame you, because we're putting together 15 hours a week. If you record every hour of the show, it's
that's
ridiculous
insane, man.
amount.
Your recorder will just fry one day and say, "Stop it."
It's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah. It's too much. And that's us saying it. It's our show. You'd think we'd have an opposite, like some sort of a different approach. We appreciate it greatly. That's amazing. Yeah. But yeah, you got to start deleting, some of the old shows.
I might just go in there and start doing it myself because I have no more control. They've taken over.
All right. Well, it's great to hear. We appreciate that. And, great job last night. You're off and running now. Now what? You back to Montreal? What's the plan here, Kenzie?
Yeah, back to Montreal this weekend. I'm coming off a bit of a roller coaster here. We just wrapped up rivalry series as well, so getting into the flow with some halves, and then we're kind of back on the road for Sens, doing the Western swing there in early December before Juniors gets going.
Awesome.
So I'm pretty much renting out my apartment in Montreal at this rate, but you gotta love it.
Yeah, you do. No, that's the beauty of it. It's going to be a fun ride. So congrats on last night, and we'll do this again down the road. Thank you for this.
Appreciate it, guys.
There's Kenzie Lalonde calling the game last night in the Ottawa Senators region.
Shout out to her mom, Sandy.
Shout out to Sandy, absolutely.
Yeah.
Love the PVR move. But
that's old school. I love that.
Yeah, that's outstanding because you can record. Obviously, you can record. Of course, you can. And but it's a lot of content, man. 15 hours a week we're putting up onto that PVR. That's a commitment, and we love it. Yeah. But I think probably every month you just kind of got to go through it and maybe get rid of some older episodes. Yeah, that's probably
Sunday
mandatory.
night you clean everything out and you just fire it back up again.
Yeah,
restart.
Absolutely. So we got Leafs Caps tonight. Oliver Ekman-Larsson playing his 1,000th game tonight. To 1,000 games.
Pretty cool to do because it's not like he's 38.
No,
He's
exactly.
33
Yeah.
years old. He's been playing since he was 18, 19, right?
Right
Like,
in the
that's-
league, healthy, playing every night.
Yeah.
That's tough, man. It's tough to get like 1,000
It's a lot of games, man. It's a lot of games.
A lot of games.
And he was kind of respectfully left for dead there. It just didn't go well in, where was it, Van, right? It didn't go well in Van, and bought out and kind of start over and win a cup, and now he's been a mainstay. Like, I think he's played quite well. I don't know what you guys had for expectations with him coming in, but I think he's either exceeded them or lived up to them for what he's done as a Leaf so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think he had a really good start. I think
Yeah.
he's kind of eased into it a little bit. He like the rest of the team have had some ups and downs.
Yeah.
I'd say the last 10 to 12 games, but he's been consistently physical. He's played a little bit of offense, a little
Engaged.
bit. He's been engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he went at Pinto last night. Someone had to do that. And that's all you're looking for, is just be engaged, be involved, be a veteran presence that's won and that's been in the league for a long time. And I think he's supplied all of that.
Yeah.
And he'll play in his 1,000th game tonight. So congrats. Shout out to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. All right, best bets coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Big Bill Nylander night tonight. All right, Leafs on the puck line plus 1.5. They're dogs in the game. I think they keep it close. I could see them responding and winning tonight. Leafs on the puck line. William Nylander 2+ points tonight. William Nylander 4+ shots on goal, paying plus 483. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. Wasn't great last night. None of them were great last night. You're going to have to respond. Talked a lot about goal scoring, 5-on-5. Max Domi, you got to get one tonight. You got to score a goal, man. You played
Dude, it was
17
crazy. He
games.
had that chance last night. It was right in front of the net. And
It was great.
Great stop by Allmark.
Well,
Great
but it
stop.
was a great play by Nylander, actually. Like, he picked that puck off of Jensen, used his leg to shield, like, Jensen to reach in there, and popped it right to Domi. You're not going to get a better chance. That's a one-timer backdoor from the slot. Now, Allmark makes a great left pass.
Noodles,
Like,
he was great. And that's why, I go to the goalie a lot. Like, if he can provide that, 85% of the time, that team's got a chance to get in the playoffs, man. Because last year, there would be a way for one of those things to go in the net and it'd be interesting at the end of the game, and they'd either lose it or whatever. And he was dialed in, and he's so good. When they have an effort like that, you can't piss it away with poor goaltending, and that's what he's got to bring to that team. It's so huge. They've had such bad goaltending the last 2 or 3 years that he has got to be the guy, man.
He does.
A lot of pressure.
No, it is. And Forsberg has got to be that tandem guy to help him. But it's more about, big saves, right time, give you an opportunity to hang in there. And that's.
But Noodles, do they ever say to him, you maybe got to become more of a spotlight guy? This tandem stuff, you can go stuff it. We need you to play 55?
Oh, I think he's going to play 55.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
That's
back
what I'd
and
be
forth.
saying. We didn't pay you $8 million to be a 40
No,
game.
I
You can't
but-
be Joel
but
Embiid out there. You got to play.
But my point is I look at 55 as still a tandem because somebody's going to play 30, right? 30
Right.
isn't a backup position. That's to me, a standalone starter plays something with a 6 in it now. It's not a 70. It used to be 70. Mm-hmm. Luongo, Brodeur, Kiprusoff, those guys played 70 a year. Now the number one guy, Hellebuck gets to 60. Other guys get to 58, 59. Stuart Skinner played 59 last year. He was their number one guy. But the tandem is, you're right. I think Omar gets something with a 5 in it. The most he's ever played is 49, I believe, in a season. So he's got to get past it. He's got to go past that.
And now I'll say you're 8-7 if you're Ottawa. You can't be below 500 again.
You can't.
You got to grow now. You can't. In 2 weeks be 11, 13, and 4. So you got to go now. You've weathered the storm early, some ups and some downs. You're above 500. You're in the hunt. You got to floor it now.
Well,
you can't fall off.
Tomorrow I wouldn't say is a trap game, but you beat Boston, you beat Toronto in their own building. You're going home and you play Philly.
Right.
That the last thing
Gotta
you need
have
to
it.
do is you can't take your foot off the gas and go, oh, geez, we beat some really good teams. Oh, and Philly's kind of not as good on paper. Oh, well, they just better give us 2 points because Philly's going to come to work. You know how they are.
I think that game last night was just a great game for everybody to have it visually and mentally, what it looked like, what it felt like, what the goalie was like, and just say, if we can put that together a bunch of times, we're a good team. So it's like, let's keep doing that. Like, just like the Winnipeg Jets, they probably saying, guys, this is fun. That's our recipe, and if we can do it a lot of nights, we're going to win a lot of games. And Ottawa should be no different. They should stick that one right in the memory bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Big time. Big time.
I agree.
And the Leafs, you want to get rid of that last night and get back on the saddle tonight in Washington. Big game, Leafs Caps tonight. Thursday night or tomorrow, go time, right? Owen Wilson on the clock. Eagles think they're a 3.5-point favorite at home against the Commanders. We'll see what you guys do. I would guess you fumble. My guess is you screw that pick up tomorrow, but we'll find out. We're out of here. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
My Partsy from Seattle. Appreciate the friendship. I can't wait to talk to you and you only tomorrow. 4 p.m.
We'll chat then.